What is happening, budget builders, and welcome back to the Model A Rescue. This is a 1931 Ford Model A Peach Flat that we rescued, and it had been sitting for over 3 decades. We got this thing running. And then in our last video, we rebuilt the Peach Flat using a mid-1800s barn that was unfortunately falling down. We pulled it down and saved every bit of lumber that we could to bring this thing back to life. Now in today's video, we've got to get this thing out on the road. It's got one-ish brake, and it's only because it's mechanical that it works at all. But we need to go through it, take care of all the brakes on this nearly 100-year-old Ford, get the parking brake working so we can safely drive this thing. And then we need to get some new tubes and tires on it, dial in a few other things to have this thing road ready, and get out on the road with it for the first time in over 3 decades. Brake time. Cotter pin. Look at that. There is no emergency brake. Wow, that's where all the noise was in the back. Look at those bearings. That's crazy. Look at this. These things are gnarly. All rubbed through there. This was all that crazy noise we had while we were driving. That is completely the wrong nut. What in the world is that? The front actually has an outer bearing. That looks really nice. So there's no grease left. The grease is literally just turned to oil. Before we do much driving, that's definitely something that needs to be addressed, or we're gonna kill some bearings. Almost. So neat to see all this stuff actually in really nice condition. It's definitely been relinered much sooner. These almost look like even originals. Isn't that crazy? That is yummy. Oh my. The vines have taken over. That's a first. Very nice and very complete. That's why the fronts worked. Rears did not work at all. These definitely need at least a reline. While we've got this thing up, we've got to order a few brake parts, especially all that emergency brake stuff. There's a lot going on there. This exhaust is completely rotted out, and the more we drove it, the more fell out of it, and it got louder and louder and louder. And that's not what a Model A is known for. It's got a really distinct, quiet, putsy sound, and that's how we want to keep it. So we're going to pull this exhaust, and let's see if we can repair the muffler that we have. If not, we'll have to get another one and get it put in there. Oops. Well, now this engine swap parts truck should do perfect for some repair paneling. don't think you'll be able to see it in there. Thankfully, the baffles are still in really good shape, and so for now, we'll try to get this one saved so we can get the car dialed in and going down the road. These original ones like this just have a very particular sound, and we want to keep that for now if we can. Maybe down the road find another good used 100-year-old muffler setup, or maybe a good aftermarket replacement that's pretty reasonable. But if we can get this saved for now, we'll do so. There's the main tube. We got to work on this end just a little bit. Maybe a little crazy spending time on this, but it saves us $400 or $500, and sometimes that's what it's all about. It's functional, hopefully. I'm gonna be using this exhaust gasket sealer. Run that down in there. Probably make a nice big mess. I'm excited to hear how this thing sounds with some actual exhaust on it. What's great is everything does sort of move in here, but we want to pull as much as we can apart because all that grease is either turned to oil or super gummy sticky. We want to clean all that up and get fresh grease so everything moves super smooth and nicely. Front is very similar to the rear. We are just horizontal instead of vertical, or vertical instead of horizontal. I don't know, however you want to look at that. Grab our springs, pop off super easy, like so. Pull out of the way. Our actuator here is nice and free, but still good and tight, not super worn. So we should be able to just clean that up really well, get some grease on it. Much better health. Well, they have more life, but they're not very pretty, so we will do those too. This rear back corner is, of course, just pitiful. And here you can see how bent this little guy is here. And that is why this thing was so pushed out. This one as well, rusted out, broke off. So we did end up getting another set. And what's nice is they came with that, and that one is nice and straight. Let's see if we can't figure out how to get that old pad off. You can see just about worn through the rivets, and try to get this thing relined. Now I am going to drill out all of these rivets. Okay, and the dad's gonna tap them out. Please. Thank you. Oh, that's the good ones. That was a Wagner. Clean that surface up a little bit. Make sure all the holes are good and clean. And there is our new shoe. Brake rivet. So we did get this little tool that you put it in here and knock it down with, but it's easier and actually sits straighter just doing it on the little chunk of metal. I guess if you were one person, this would definitely make a huge difference, but with both Dad and I doing it, it seemed to go quicker and easier just doing it over here. So I'll show you. This right here. So that rounds it out. And then to finish it off, you can see it pushes it in, but it's still a little loose. That's where we take a flat punch and kind of tighten it up. Beautiful. There we have our reline brake shoe. Looks a little better. Nice job. I guess it's greased up now. Okay. Easy as that. Now that we have it, our parking brake assembly can go in. Now we can install our grease baffle. You might notice this really cool vintage snap-on ratchet that we're using. This is actually my new favorite ratchet. I love this style ratchet with the extended length, so we can get in here and tighten everything. And this was actually sent to us from a subscriber, Chris, and I do absolutely love this thing. And I really do appreciate the thought. And thank you so much. We're really glad you're enjoying. And thank you for thinking of us and sending this cool thing out. Now for our replacement emergency brake shoe. Very similar, except, yeah, we got to drill the holes for it. And I think it's a little long, so we will have to also trim it to size, but I don't think that'll be a big deal. Probably the easiest way to go about this is to remove the old one so we can use it as a template. Get that all out of the way. Cool. There we go. Now we can place this on the inside, kind of like so, and drill one good starter hole. Now we're going to take and counter bore it so the rivet will drop down in and not be rubbing on the inside of the drum. That drops into place. So we're going to work back, pull it really tight, and do probably every other one until we get it all on and looking right, and then we'll go back through and re-drill the rest. A little time consuming, but better to take our time and get it right the first time and not have to buy more liners. There you have a set of relined parking shoes. Our little actuation rod here, that can go into place. And then our newly relined parking brake shoe. Okay, and then the springs clip here, like so. They're pretty light duty, I could probably just do it with that, yeah. Now on the inside, we have our key here. And then where this gets fun is getting this in place and the spring correct. Thank you, Dad. Mm-hmm. And go pull the e-brake lever for me, please. Okay, and then let it off. Sweet. We need to get this wheel bearing replaced. Here is our new one. That's pretty fancy. So we need to pull this clip and then take this inner seal out so we can get to that bearing. There it goes. Okay. Out with the old bearing. Woo-wee! Look at all that wear. Oh, it's actually cupped. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a lot of cup in it. Oh yeah, it's actually got some brakes now. And that hub is nice and tight. backing plate's just a little crunched up into here from this thing being dropped down on without wheels at one point of time. I'm able to just kind of pry it out, get everything a little smoother. Took a little convincing, but that's a little better. Got to get all of our bolts correct because they were all over the place, and I just got grease all over my leg. Before dropping this back in, you can see Dad spent a little bit of time and filed our edges smooth here because they actually got pretty sharp just from wear over the years, quite a few years, and would not easily come out of their little ride point here. Now that it is much better, we can grease it up and drop it back down into place. Going back together with these front drums, I was looking, this is a little scary. So this bearing is actually pretty decent shape. It's a USA, Bauer, a little bit older, but still really nice. But check the race out. Holy moly. That's terrifying that they put a new outer bearing and did not replace the race. So we're gonna do that before we go back together with it. Just take a socket that fits in here, but doesn't put pressure on the sides. And hopefully we can just drive this thing out. There. There's what's left of our race. I'd say it needs replacing. It's the original Ford A1217. I hate to replace it being original, but probably needs replacing. Got our new race. We can drive in now. When it bottoms out, you'll hear it. Solid. Now, one of our subscribers, Zeke, decided to spoil us. Thank you so much. Something we've never had, a bearing packer. You've always watched us pack these things by hand, and I don't know why we've never tried this, so thank you so much for sending that out. We've already done this with just a couple so far, kind of learning how this thing works. You just pack it full of grease. It's actually got a little grease fitting, so you can fill this thing up without actually sliding it past and potentially tearing your O-rings. Some holes right there. You drop this on like so. Run this down on. And then just pull a pressure on it. And it just packs the bearing full of grease for you. I mean, how slick is that? Boop. Done. You know what? And this is probably safer knowing you get grease in every little orifice. That is pretty darn slick. Back our adjuster all the way out. Make sure everything slides together smoothly.
We spent a good bit of time with all of the rods for the brakes on this thing, getting all of the adjustments free. I think we've got all of those pulled just right now. Before we let this thing down though, we're gonna take and adjust all of our adjusters in until these brakes do pull down, and when we apply them, they do stop this thing nicely. Get that all the way. Let off. All right, hit it. All right, hit it. One more click. It's just barely rubbing on the drum now, so I think we're pretty good there. All right, hit the brake. Sweet, okay. All right, hit the brake. All right, let off. Sweet. All right, hit the brake. Nice. We might have to tweak it after we drive it once they work in, but it'll be a whole lot better than what it was. With rear parking brakes now, we've got to get this handle functional. The button doesn't move, everything seems to be kind of frozen up there. Let's get it removed and see if we can get it all figured out. It's not completely frozen. We definitely need to work on cleaning it up. But there must be some kind of spring that goes in there, and it is not in there anymore. So this has to be a nut on top. Maybe not. Okay, so it has a pin. We can try to get it out. You can see the spring, which obviously does not function anymore. No way this is gonna. Perfect. It moved. Right. Hey, look at that. Bent the crap out of it, but it came out. It looks like all of our issues here, I mean, the spring still looks okay. Everything comes down to just the amount of rust in there. We'll work on getting this thing nice and straight and get that end straightened back out, clean up all of that rust there. Down in here, we should be able to get everything functioning again, hopefully. Now that that's all complete, we can finish installing our floor. So we pretty well want to fix mount our floorboard here, and that means we won't have access down here to our battery, which was back here, and you see kind of hung off there, but that put a lot of stress on this rear bar. But what I'm thinking is, one, we can mount a little box under here, which is going to give us basically a glove box to keep paperwork and everything down in, maybe our driving gloves. And then on this side, we'll put our battery tray. So I'm going to remove this one here, and then we should be able to mount it kind of diagonal in here. That'll allow us to lift our seat, drop a battery in, hook everything up. And I think we're going to go 12 volt on this car too, because currently the only thing that is 6 volt is the generator. You can use the starters, you can upgrade the windings in them to make them a little happier, but then all of our lights would be easier to be 12 volt, and our charging system and cranking would be so much easier 12 volt. I know it won't be original, but this thing's not super original anyways, and we want to drive it and enjoy it, and 12 volt will definitely make it that way. it's still there. It looks like it fits pretty good in there. It kind of gets it up away from everything down there. It's really solidified. We'll get a top ordered. We can mount this thing in using our factory battery tray now. With that done, we can get our seat base mounted on the seat here. And to do that, we'll just be using conduit brackets. We'll just hold everything nicely down into place. Now we're clearly missing something from the dash. I was able to find a pretty cool old, nice shape, but not too nice dash piece to go in. We'll use the speedometer. We don't have a cable right now, and we do have to get a new amp gauge. We have our ignition switch, which will go right into place of this one. We'll clean this up a little bit and get it installed. But it's cool. It's, I believe, nickel plated, and that should look pretty good cleaned up in the dash here. See how this thing will clean up. Ah, that's perfect. It is pretty. Now I know we checked to see if we had fluid in the transmission before we took it up the road that first time, but now that we're actually gonna get out and drive this thing, we should check and see if we need to replace it. And I pulled the drain plug. That's grease. It like stains my finger. Probably too thick. You know, we were like, man, this thing has synchronizers, and I was thinking it was a transmission that had been rebuilt and synchronizers installed, but there's a good possibility it's just because it's running on grease. Oh no. Oh my goodness. I think somebody got the 600W gear rating, or the 600W gear oil rating, 600 weight mixed up. Yummy. We've got some 85 140 on hand, so we'll run this in there just temporarily for our first few short drives, and then we can flush this out and we'll put some 600W in it once we get some ordered and in here. And this stuff's thick, don't get me wrong. This is some super thick fluid, but nothing like what came out of there. Let's do the same with our rear differential just to cover all of our bases. Yummy. Holy moly. At least there's no metal or anything. Now, unfortunately, right after our very first drive in this thing, I think the little bit of corrosion that was still holding this radiator together gave up. Not only that, there's some leaking from other water connections, and this thing has just been dripping ever since then. So we need to pull this radiator, flush it, clean it, and hopefully repair it. While it's out, take care of all our hose connections, and then I think we're gonna get rid of that original style water pump and do a sealed bearing leakless so we don't have to worry about greasing or anything. And then also upgrade our fan, get rid of that stamped one that could possibly break and hurt somebody, and make this thing just a little bit more reliably drivable.
I mean, it ain't pretty, but it's not horrible for a 100-year-old radiator, I guess.
Wow, that's rough without a grill shell.
Definitely need to flush that cooling system.
Holy moly.
While everything is removed, before we go back in here with the cooling system, it's probably a really good time to flush this engine out. Take our water hose and try to get everything pushed down through there. It's pretty clean. I want to make sure it's really clean.
I'll work the hose and you can get at the bottom. There you go.
So I can get wet. I got you.
Hey, we're catching some.
Really not bad, is it? Some of this mess out of here.
You did that on purpose.
Did I? I'm sorry.
I felt it on my back.
So this thing is an original, and it's been patched and patched and patched, but I didn't see any leaks other than maybe a little dribble down here, and the core is actually really clean on this thing. Aftermarkets people have a lot of issues with those, and so we're gonna try and keep this original one. What we'll do is flush this thing out, make sure any kind of goop or anything that's in there is clear, and then let's fill it up and check for leaks. And if we do have a leak, which I think we do down here, we'll try to clean it up and hopefully get that patched.
Wonder if it was more so the hoses.
Maybe it was just the hoses. I think we're good. I think all of our leaking was from those crusty hard hoses, which is really surprising, but pleasant. Let's get this thing put back on. Got our new sealed bearing leakless water pump. Drop in our new key and new pulley. Does anyone else throw like everything in their hoodies, tools and bolts and parts, and your hoodie's all stretched out and you don't know why? Now this might cause some controversy. We're gonna go with a 6-blade plastic fan. You can go to a 4-blade, but they're kind of expensive, and this was the most reasonable option, and we want to enjoy and drive this thing, and so that's kind of why we're going this way. It's something you could always change around depending on how this thing does on the road. For now, want to have fun, want to enjoy it. That's what we're going to use.
Ah, that's probably our leak right there then. Corroded right through it.
pretty leak free. I am really excited to see how this thing sounds with the full exhaust in there now. I did do a little tweaking to ignition stuff, the little tweaking to the carburetor. You can see we also put a little air cleaner on there just so when we drive this thing, we know we're not sucking a bunch of trash into the engine. But let's see how this thing cold starts. It was in the 30s last night. It's probably in the mid 40s now. Let's see how it does fire up and sounds. We did also spend a little bit of time on the ground cable, or the positive cable, and I think that'll make a little bit of difference with our turning over when we go to start this thing. That is awesome! Sounds good! Last thing exterior wise, it kind of bugs me a good bit are these side steps. They're actually pretty good shape. Little bit of surface rust, rust that we're gonna go ahead and treat, and then we've got new rubber to go in place here. And then I splurged a little bit, and we got some really cool aftermarket Ford Day 2 basically side step plates here that I think are really going to set off the side of this thing. This is the Rust Fix by Duplicolor that we really like using. This stuff is nice because it, on the painted surfaces, which we won't be spraying it on here, but if you did, it dries clear, and on the rust, it'll turn the rust into a black converted paintable surface. It's done really well. We've been using this stuff for years. Sometimes you'll have to do 2 or 3 coats. It'll be brown until it is actually truly converted. This side you can see had some rust issues here, which they had patched by riveting it on. We're gonna drill those out, and we wanna put a little patch in here just so we know everything is good and structurally sound. Got a few rivets here to drill out. Weld through primer. Now that our side steps are nice, dry, and cured, rust is taken care of, we've got our OEM material, a rubber that can go in place here. It's gonna look really good. Trimmed it down to size just a little bit, and it already has adhesive on the back, which is nice. So you just peel that off and slide this down into place. Perfect. How cool is that? And of course, only the finest in tire machines to replace the tires on these. You know, it might actually be a few years newer. I think it'll work.
How's that old air smell?
Like Bootay. Did we just contract polio?
There you go.
Oh yeah. Oh, hey wait, this right here. Oh,
You're standing on it.
that original green paint is awesome. Man, that wheel's in great shape, which obviously this is a 35. We know that because it's a 16-inch instead of the 19 that would have been on here. And then of course the style of the hub, which I think looks nice on there. And without spending a bunch of money on new wheels, will still look really good. Soapy water for lubrication. We'll be done with the 4 of these by
Never.
January 1st, hopefully.
Hey, look, it's on. On my butt.
Okay. And to finish that off, got some much needed hubcaps.
Take the tire, baby.
Oh my goodness, it's still fun. All right. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I went to a friend's antique store yesterday, and I think I found something pretty neat for this. And this was apparently like a 30s or 40s milk cooler. Is that not cool? So it's error correct. It should look the part. I wanted to do like a wooden toolbox. They want like $350 for those things. This was $15, and I think it'll work for now. And size-wise is like perfect. Now attaching, we obviously can't open this up with it like that. And I want to keep registration and tools and spare parts and stuff in this. But what we can do is find some correct looking leather straps and leather strap it on the front and back. I think that'll kind of work out perfectly and really look the part. ready to take the thing for a spin? All right, e-brake off. Now we had mentioned maybe this thing had synchros and just moving it a little bit around here now. We know it doesn't, but that wouldn't make it as fun. The exhaust sounds phenomenal now. A little bit of double clutch. There she goes. Takes a little getting used to. It's a lot smoother now, isn't it?
Yep.
It needs a little bit of steering tightening up, but might be part of it. I saw some folks asking about the driving, especially with no synchros, and I think I've got it figured out now. Slow wins the race. So you go, clutch in, neutral, throttle, clutch in, next gear. I think this is my favorite driver. Like, what a step back in time. And it's smooth. I mean, for what it felt like that first drive, it is way better. Funny with some new tires and heavy brakes and 90% complete body makes. And the brakes, oh my goodness, they're so much better. This is the greatest thing ever. You know Dad's got to drive this thing. Ice cold. Sounds awesome. Runs so good. Okay. Oh my goodness. Let me get in. How great is this? Throttle? You got to throttle wide, so that'd be it. Not bad.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Oh, smooth as can be. The heat does not work good in here, does it? Brakes aren't bad, are they?
No, they feel good.
I mean, for what you expect a 90-something-year-old car to feel like, it's Drives like a modern car, right? Not bad. How much fun is that? Well, there you have it. Looking the part and driving the part once again. And what an awesome experience. Take this 94-year-old Ford Model A that had been sitting for over 3 decades, getting this thing fired back to life, rebuilding the peach flat on the back, dialing it in with brakes, wheels, tires, some engine components, and getting this thing back on the road again. We really hope you all have enjoyed this rescue so far. We've got a few things to take care of. You can see it looks like the, I'm not sure this thing has a rear main, but something at the back is leaking a little bit of oil we need to address. We need to figure out our charging system and a few lights and a few odds and ends to really dial this thing in. Obviously, it's not a winter vehicle, so that's something we can finish over the winter, and first of spring, we're gonna get this thing out and enjoy it. And we hope you all are excited to see that. If you are, you wanna see more on this rescue, our other rebuilds and rescues, be sure to subscribe button, notification bell to keep up with our future uploads. And if you have been a part of the channel, we do appreciate it so incredibly much. I never anticipated the opportunity to wrench on and drive something this cool, and we get to do it because of each and every one of you. So thank you all so much. Peace out, and catch you all on the flip side.